completed, it's time to look at the next challenge. Round 4 is not only the halfway mark of the 2010 Sasol South African Rally Championship, but is also one of the most feared events on the calendar. It's time for the championship pretenders to make a move. This is the Rally of South Africa. The Rally of South Africa is a big event on the South African motorsport calendar. But with the biggest event on the world sporting calendar now only days away, it was time for some of the rally teams to also show their support for our national soccer stars. Like the teams competing in the Rally of South Africa, Bafana Bafana will also face a tough challenge. But with this kind of support from all corners of South Africa, our national soccer stars will surely make us proud. For round 4, the championship stays in Mpumalanga, but moves to the town of Ermelo and the demanding forest roads in the Warburton and Punveld areas. These roads are renowned car breakers, turning the Rally of South Africa into as much of an endurance event as it is a sprint race. To make matters even worse, the Rally of South Africa is home to the infamous Jessie Vale stage, at nearly 60 kilometres, by far the longest stage in South African rallying. With 2 second-place finishes and a win after 3 events, Enzo Kuhn has a comfortable lead in the championship. Will he repeat his 2006 championship year, or is it still too early?
We're very happy, confident inside the vehicle. At times we're looking good. We got to get the points on the board. You know, winning a championship is not always just winning stages. You got to put the points at the end of the rally. And I think with this event we don't have to win it, but we need the points.
Marc Cronier's had his share of bad luck this year, but is still second on the points table.
Yeah, points are looking great. You know, with the finishes, a bit of a consolation prize for us. But yeah, we'll hopefully build, you know, through the rest of the year. It'll get stronger and stronger. So let's see how today goes.
Following his exit from the Sasol Rally, defending champion Hergen Fecken finds himself in unfamiliar territory. A full 23 points behind his teammate Kuhn.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind, but if you drop a score, we're not that far off. So we need to get the scores on the board now.
Round 2 winner Conrad Rotenbach is in a similar position as Fecken and will have his sights set on a good result in Ermelo.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to all out this weekend, and the last event was unfortunate, but these things happen in rallying, eh? You know, when you're driving hard and pushing, these things happen.
Johnny Gemmell was a title contender in 2009, but the Toyota driver has had an eventful season so far in 2010.
Yeah, we had a bit of bad luck on the first one, you know, with that event, but the second event we were doing well, and then we had a puncher. But last event we got a second place, and now we're coming to the 4th event, so it's going to be a tough one.
Jan Habig has 6 titles to his name and would like nothing more than to add a 7th in 2010.
This event itself, it's you know, one of the tough ones. The roads are very demanding and quite narrow, so one's got to stay out of the grass and the rocks on the side. Once you can manage that, you normally get a good result here.
Besides Rotenbach, Hein Lateghan is the leading privateer.
I always say to people is to get faster, it's not a switch. It's little bit by little bit, you know, and it's happening.
The Basil Reed BizHub Ford team of Charles Wilkin returns to rallying after a fire destroyed their brand new Fiesta during round 1 in Natal.
Yeah, it's back. It's been a long time. We should have been back at the Sasol, but big thanks to Basil Reed that made it possible. And yeah, you know, it's going to be difficult. I haven't rallied for quite a while, so we'll just have to play it by ear.
A number of very fast S2000 drivers will once again have their sights set on a good result. Team Total has no less than 3 entries in the form of Jean-Pierre Damso, Fernando Roida and Mohamed Musa. Jaapie van Niekerk has the pace to mix it up with the factory drivers, but he was suffering from a heavy bout of flu and did not make the start, while Motorrad driver Evan Hutchison is getting faster and faster with every outing. Tian Shubat is another consistent driver who will battle it out with the likes of Nicholas Ryan. Visser Du Plessis enters his 4th event since moving to S2000, and Namibian Jaco van Dijk completes a field of no less than 17 S2000 machines. It's time to get the show on the road as the mayor of Ermelo waves the flag to start the 36th Rally of South Africa. Enzo Kuhn is the first to leave the Ermelo Toyota start, followed by his Volkswagen teammate Hergen Fecken. Johnny Gemmell is the first Toyota on the road, while Jan Habig will launch his attack from fourth, ahead of the second Toyota of Marc Cronje. For the first time in more than 13 years, two Fords will contest the Premier class, with the Fiestas of Conrad Rautenbach and Charles Wilkin starting 6th and 7th on the road, respectively. The rally is based at Ermelo Toyota, but the action will take place around 60 kilometres east of the Mpumalanga town. Day one will only see 3 stages around Warburton, while the majority of the stages will take place near Panbult on Saturday. At just over 13 kilometres, Stage 1 provides a good opportunity for the teams to get used to the rough and tricky conditions. But it will immediately be followed by the 17 kilometres of Stage 2, leaving the drivers with no choice but to look after their cars on the first test. A little mishap early on could therefore have disastrous consequences.
3, 2, 1, go. Right 9, open. 100.
2010 Rally of South Africa action gets underway with a BP Ultimate Polo of championship leaders Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson, the first to have a taste of the tough conditions. Keen set the first benchmark time of 9 minutes and 13 seconds.
7 right and left 7. Now go. 250 to finish. Stand by. Okay, that'll do.
Very slippery out there, so we took it easy and a lot of 90s. Your braking's critical.
Defending champions and BP Volkswagen teammates Hergen Fecken and Pierre Aries were next. They've won this event for the past 2 years and started well by setting the fastest time on Stage 1. 9 minutes and 3 seconds, a full 10 seconds faster than their teammates.
Here, right 8, left 9 through very rough. Red Ford. Got 9.04.
It's a difficult stage. There's a lot of ruts and stuff, so you have to keep in the center of the road.
The first of the Castrol Toyotas in the hands of Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrock. Gemmell knew that he can't allow the competition to get away early on, so the Auris driver pushed hard.
They'll get past the end of the trees. It's medium left. Medium left here. They'll take the Constable here, turn right. Constable here, turn right.
9 minutes and 22 seconds means almost 20 seconds lost on the first stage.
I just overshot one corner, had to turn around and lost 20 seconds. 15.
Very slippery out there.
Yeah, it is.
Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford need no invitation to join any rally fight. The multiple champion was immediately on the pace and set a time of 9 minutes and 6 seconds, just 3 seconds slower than his BP Ultimate teammate. The Volkswagen and Castrol Toyota fight continues with Marc Cronje and Robert Paisley joining in on the action. Cronje's time is 5 seconds slower than the fastest so far, but still right in the mix.
We were a bit scrappy. We had a couple of components got it onto 2 wheels, so it wasn't a very nice flowing stage. Bit of a stop and start.
But the fight is no longer just between Volkswagen and Toyota, as Ford have also joined the party. Since joining this fight, Zimbabweans Conrad Rautenbach and Peter Marsh have been a huge force to be reckoned with, and Stage 1 was no different.
100, flying finish.
9 minutes and 5 seconds, just 1.6 seconds slower than Fecken, and good enough for second position.
I wasn't really in the right rhythm. It didn't feel that great, to be honest, but yeah, the car's working quite well, so I just got to get my mind right, and we'll get going on the next one, I think.
It's the first time since day one of the championship that Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich have turned a wheel in anger. But the Basil Reed Bizup Ford Fiesta was back in action and getting up to speed. Wilkin's time was good enough for sixth position.
A bit rusty there, struggling to get the rhythm, but yeah, nice to be back.
JP Damso and Kellen Swan opened their account with the 7th fastest time behind the wheel of the Total Evolution Toyota Runex. Evan Hutchison and Alvin Coetzee had their first taste of S2000 action on the Rally of South Africa, 9th fastest for the Motorride Polo. Namibian Jaco van Dijk and Des de Fortier reached the end of a tough Stage 1 with a 10th fastest time.
Hergen Fecken takes the early lead with Conrad Rautenbach hot on his heels. Jan Habig and Marc Cronje are well within striking distance, followed by Enzo Kuhn and Charles Wilkin. Gemmel's little mishap sees him down in 8th, ahead of Hutchison and Van Dijk, who rounds off the top 10 after stage 1. Rally of South Africa action continues after the break, when the country's top gravel road racers tackle the next 2 stages, including the infamous Jessibale stage, where anything can happen. And to quote a cliché, where it usually does. It's early days on the Rally of South Africa. Hargen Fecken made the first move, but he's chased by a very hungry pack, and there's still a long way to go.
Without any chance to service the cars after stage 1, it was straight into stage 2 for Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson. The BP Ultimate Polo found it going slippery as they set a time of 12 minutes and 21 seconds.
Left 2, 70, left 1, it's his turn right 9.
It's quite slippy in the front, you know. You're also looking for the road in the grass sometimes.
5, short left 9, short left 9, right 7, sudden, right 7, sudden.
Second on the road is not much better, but Hargen Fecken and Pierre Aries wanted to stamp their authority on this event early on and went 10 seconds faster than their BP Ultimate teammates.
1, go 350.
Johnny Gemmel and Drew Starrock had time to make up after stage 1. The Castrol Toyota Auris driver got it all together on stage 2 and set a time of 12 minutes and 10 seconds, just 1 second faster than Fecken. Jan Habig and Ralph Bedford were occupying 3rd position after stage 1, but Habig's time on stage 2 was 7 seconds slower than the winning pace. Mark Renier and Robert Paisley had every intention to close the gap to Fecken's lead in the second of the Castrol Toyota Aurises, and on stage 2 he did exactly that, albeit by only 1 second.
Fortunately, we had again another one, close call. The road was very slippery and we came in and there was a big rock and we just managed to miss it. So.
Former World Rally Championship contender Conrad Rotenbach and navigator Peter Marsh were next to tackle stage 2. The Ford Fiesta lost around 2 seconds to stage winner Cronier, but maintained his 2nd position overall. Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich lost a few more seconds to the leaders on stage 2, as he is still finding his feet on the left-hand side of the new Basil Reed Bizub Ford Fiesta, but still maintained their position well inside the top 10. The pairing of JP Damser and Callan Swan were having a solid start to the event with another top 10 stage time in the Total Evolution Toyota Runx, just behind the Fiesta of Wilkin. Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe are among the favourites to clinch the inaugural Privateers Championship. Intercom problems slowed their progress on the first stage, but the Team Pertic Toyota Auris had a much better stage 2 that propelled them straight into the top 10 and into 9th position overall.
No, it was a disaster. There's something wrong with the intercom again. So we're battling to hear each other.
The second of the Team Total Evolution Toyota Runnxes of Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz was now in a fierce battle with the Volkswagen Polo of Jaco van Dijk and Des de Fortier, as well as the Motorrad Polo of Evan Hutchison and Alvin Coetzee. On stage 2, both Van Dijk and Rueda set exactly the same time, down to every 10th of a second, with Hutchison and Hot Pursuit just 2 seconds slower. All 3 drivers at their sights firmly set on 10th position, which at this point belonged to Van Dijk. Hutchison was breathing down his neck, just 2 seconds behind, with Rueda a further 4 seconds back. Class S2000, or South Africa's Premier Rally class, is a tough place to be in, with no less than 16 cars fighting for glory. Thien Joubert and Carl Peskin were not yet up to speed behind the wheel of the Salon Group Polo, but still ahead of the similar Avis and Gabriel back machine of Nicholas Ryan and Jeff Tyra. Visser du Plessis and Gerard Snyman have been battling to get their Team Pertic Toyota Auris race ready since joining the class, and this time they finally did, but it didn't last long as a broken drive shaft slowed them down on stage 2. Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin suffered even more as the power steering in their Team Total Evolution Runnx failed halfway through stage 1, forcing Musa to also tackle stage 2 without any mechanical help.
Start of stage 2, it was just on the line. I realized no power steering, and we did that the second busiest stage of the rally without power steering. That was, no, I don't recommend that to anybody.
It's a close affair at the top of the leaderboard. Hargen Fecken is in a familiar first position, but a determined Conrad Rotenbach is just 2.5 seconds adrift, with Mark Ronier breathing down his neck. Jan Habig is within striking distance ahead of Johnny Gemmel, Enzo Kuhn and Charles Wilkin, while Van Dijk rounds off the top 10. After the demanding 2 opening stages of the Rally of South Africa, the cars and drivers deserve a welcome rest back in the Warburton Service Park. In the Volkswagen camp, everything was going according to plan for Hergen Fecken, but there was still a long fight ahead.
Yeah, look, we pushed quite hard in the first 2 stages, but it's short stages, so you don't take a lot of time. We're leading by 3 or 4 seconds. It's still really nothing in it.
Conrad Rotenbach is once again the one to take the fight to Fecken and finds himself very close to the lead.
We were a bit slow in the first stage. The guys caught me sleeping a bit, but yeah, it feels quite good. We do a few little changes now, and this next one's a big one. It's going to be really important, so we'll see what happens.
Marc Grenier has already experienced bad luck this year, but third after the opening loop of stages was a good start for the Castrol Toyota driver.
Yeah, we're there. We've got a couple of gremlins now that the guys are trying to sort out, and hopefully we'll go a little bit quicker in the next one.
Charles Wilkin has probably enjoyed the worst luck of anyone in recent times. The Basil Reed Biz-Up Fiesta was back on the stages, but Wilkin found the going tough.
Yeah, big time. It's struggling a bit there. Testing and rallying is a different story. I haven't been rallying for quite a while. The guys are pushing hard, so I have to pick up the pace quite a bit from here. So we'll just try and get quicker and quicker as the rally progresses.
It's time for the ultimate test. At 56.3 kilometers, Jessie Vale is not only the longest stage of the event, but also the longest stage in South African rallying. It's probably the most infamous stage of the entire championship, and it has decided the outcome of many rallies before. So what exactly is it that makes Jessie Vale such a feared stage? On the one hand, it's the distance. Nearly 60 kilometers is the equivalent of driving from Pretoria to Johannesburg, and that's on narrow and rough forest roads lined with trees, rocks and other obstacles just waiting to take a bite out of your tires around every corner. On the other hand, it's the level of concentration, mental and physical strength required to reach the end. A cautious approach could result in a very slow time, whereas a full-blown attack could end in retirement. So how do the top drivers approach Jessie Vale?
My approach to Jessie Vale is as fast as possible for as long as possible.
Flat out.
And you have to keep it really clean from the start. You got to attack, but you got to find a rhythm.
You need to pace yourself and have a clean slate, I think.
Concentration, concentration, that's it.
Not physically demanding, but it's mentally demanding.
3, 2, 1, go.
Once again, Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson are the first ones to run the Jessie Vale gauntlet as they blast off on this epic stage.
Now 500. 5.
Exactly 2 minutes later, BP Ultimate Volkswagen teammates Hergen Fecken and Pierre Arries are the next ones to tackle Jessie Vale.
Keep in for 3.
Another 2 minutes goes by before Johnny Gemmel and Drew Starrock blast off in the first of the Castrol Toyotas. Up ahead, Enzo Keane was now well within his stride and driving hard. It seemed like he chose to attack, and so far so good.
Triple caution, left 5 narrow. Now triple caution, left 5 narrow. Triple here, triple caution. Okay.
Hergen Fecken and Pierre Arries have dominated this stage in recent years. On both previous occasions, they won Jessie Vale and continued to also win the rally, so Fecken's strategy was crystal clear. But so was Johnny Gemmel's. The Castrol Toyota Auris was eating up Jessie Vale's kilometers one by one.
The easy right, not cut. Repeat, easy right, first continues for 30. Takes the easy right, not cut.
At the front, Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson were still sweeping the road.
It's a flat jump to open left 8. Flat here to open left 8. Left 8. Oh, my word.
The engine under the bonnet of the BP Ultimate Polo cried enough, and Jessie Vale had claimed her first victim. From second on the road, Hergen Fecken and Pierre Arries were unaware of their teammates' troubles and soon had their own to worry about. They were going so slow that they had to pull over to let Johnny Gemmel past. The score was now 2-0 in Jessie Vale's favor. Instead of the Volkswagens of Keane and Fecken, the Castrol Toyota of Johnny Gemmel and Drew Starrock was the first to arrive at the end of the long Jessie Vale stage.
Yeah, he had something wrong with his car. He slowed down, let us past. We were in his dust for a bit, but didn't lose much time. And then I saw Enzo a bit further on, parked.
With both Fecken and Keane on the sidelines, Jan Habig and Rolf Pitchford were now behind the wheel of the only remaining BP Ultimate Volkswagen Polo. It took a long time for Habig to reach the end, a full minute and a half slower than the only time set by Gemmel so far, and Habig wasn't happy. Meanwhile, Mark Cronje and Robert Paisley were pushing hard in the second Castrol Toyota Auris. This is Cronje's third attempt at completing Jezebel in an S2000, and twice he's failed. But only seconds after Habich reached the end, the Auris screamed into the finish. 37 minutes and 29 seconds. A new fastest stage time by a full 15 seconds.
We finished that day, first time.
Cronje was the new rally leader, but it all depended on what Conrad Rotenbach and Peter Marsh would do. Cronje already set the benchmark, but the Fiesta looked fast as it raced its way through the notorious Jezebel.
Gearbox.
And that's another one. 3 out of the top 6 cars are all gone within a matter of minutes. This was the opportunity that Charles Wilken and Greg Godrich were waiting for. The Basil Reed Bizzup Ford Fiesta team needed nothing more than a good result after losing 2 rally cars in less than a year. Halfway through the stage, Wilken's time was looking good and on the pace. But he too never made it to the end of Jezebel. Jezebel had already swallowed 4 out of the top 7 contenders. JP Damser and Callan Swan were determined not to be part of that statistic. The Total Evolution Run-X managed to do so by becoming only the 4th car to reach the end of Jezebel.
Jeez, what a stage, man. 50k or 56, we're not used to those kind of stages, eh?
Seemed like so far everything was keeping right for Toyota as another Auris. This time the Pertec version of Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe also emerged from the fearsome Jezebel stage. Latergan's time was the 3rd fastest and propelled him to 3rd on the overall standings.
Yeah, it went well. I mean, I still got tired the last, I would say, 15Ks. It was very difficult to keep on your concentration then.
Behind Latergan, the Salon Group Polo of Thien Joubert and Carl Peskin was the next car to tackle the 56 kilometers. And as with 4 cars before them, they also failed to reach the end. They stopped to change a punctured wheel, only to find that there was no wheel left to change. Jezebel was becoming a true battlefield. Nicholas Ryan and Jeff Tyre had no less than 2 punctures in the Avis and Gabriel Volkswagen Polo. They lost more than 7 minutes, but under the circumstances, it didn't seem that bad.
But there's carnage out there. Charles stuck. I think he's changing his tyre. 3 Volkswagens out. Not nice.
Toyota's good run on Jezebel continued when the Total Evolution Toyota Run-X of Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz emerged from the forest relatively unscathed and with the 5th fastest time.
You know, the best way I can describe it is, you remember when you went to school and it was the final exams, and all of them are okay, but there's always one exam that is going to catch you. You know, as you were saying, 20 to go, 10 kilometers to go. It's like you've got through half the paper. And then you got another 2 questions, and then, I made it, you know. I got my degree. It's almost the same.
The next car to complete Jezebel was another Toyota, the Pertec Auris of Visser Du Plessis and Gerard Snyman. 60 kilometers were more than what Du Plessis has done the entire season, and his 7th fastest time moved him up to 7th on the overall standings.
But it's an unbelievable stage. The cars are lying next to the road like, looks like the Battle of Waterloo.
The carnage continued as the Motorride Polo of Evan Hutchison and Alvin Coetzee broke a throttle cable. Roadside repairs were enough to get them going again, but 14 minutes were lost.
Looks like a bomb went off in there, buddy. It's just cars everywhere.
Jezebel is not the type of stage that you want to do without power steering, but unfortunately for Jaco van Dijk and Des de Fortier, they had no choice and lost around 5 minutes in the process.
Maar is lekker. Ons is klaar met hierdie stage. Die eerste keer van Jezebel en ons steer op.
Technicians managed to repair the power steering inside the Total Evolution Run-X of Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin before Jezebel, but they were forced to take lateness and got stuck in the dust, losing a further 5 minutes to their rivals. Jezebel was cruel to some, but kind to others. Gugu Zulu and new but experienced navigator Cindy Harding enjoyed a trouble-free run in their BP Ultimate Polo and moved into 8th position overall, a remarkable result for a dual drive Class A7 car. Just as remarkable was the day 1 performance of Leroy Poulter and Henry Dearlove in the Imperial Toyota Run-X. Poulter is behind the wheel of a Class A6 car, which means a 1600cc front-wheel drive. He was both fast and consistent and was rewarded with a fine 10th overall at the end of day 1.
Jessie Vale has once again lived up to its reputation as a cruel monster, and as in previous years, she's had a huge impact on the overall outcome of the event. This is what the running of Jessie Vale did to the overall leaderboard. The names of Fecken and Rotenbach disappear from the very top of the leaderboard, as does the names of Enzo Kuhn and Charles Wilkin. The new leaderboard looks totally different and is dominated by Toyotas. Mark Cronje takes a comfortable 30-second lead over his teammate Johnny Gemmel, with Lategan now in third. Habich is the only remaining factory Volkswagen in the mix, ahead of Reuter, Damso and Duplessis. Gugu Zulu enters the top 10 in a lower class car, and so does Leroy Poulter. Back at the service park, it was time to reflect on the battlefield that was Jessie Vale. Current champion Hergen Fecken's dream of winning 3 rallies of South Africa in a row is shattered.
About 5Ks into the stage, I just felt that one of the lower control arms bent slightly and the wheel was touching the wheel arches. And we tried to nurse it through, but after 30 Ks it just gave in and the whole wheel fell out completely, so we just stopped.
With Enzo Kuhn also missing, Volkswagen lost 2 cars in one stage.
I mean, my opinion is that it's a bit too much for the pace that the guys are running to have stages like this, but that's my view.
Conrad Rotenbach's championship aspirations have also taken a serious knock, with his second retirement in as many events.
Coming down a long straight, and there was just a little dip in the road, and he full compression and it broke the gearbox, stuck in 6th gear, so we couldn't carry on. It's really disappointing because we were going quite well, I think.
This was supposed to be the comeback of the Basil Reed Bizhub Ford Fiesta team, but Charles Wilkin's run of extremely bad luck continues.
Yeah, unfortunately we had some bad luck again. We had a puncture and we thought 10 Ks to go we can possibly drive it out just slowly, and we took it careful, and then the rim split and got jammed, and we couldn't turn, so we were stuck there and we couldn't get it off, so that was it.
The action for day 1 at the top of the leaderboard is a thing of the past, so let's break away to look at the battles in the remaining national rally classes. Class A7 is for 2-litre racing machines, just like S2000s, but they have a little less power and only front-wheel drive. Class newcomers Gavin Cronje and Van Aert Schoeman never even made it to the start of stage 1 when the crank sensor in their seasons for Africa Polo failed. Former class champions Chris de Wit and Dean Redlinghuis returned to rallying thanks to backing from sponsors Automark, but the Automark Toyota Ranex was forced to retire after stage 1. The Johns Way Auto Doctor Toyota Corolla of Michael Otto and Tommy de Tooy at least made it to the start of Jessie Vale, but became another victim when it failed to finish the 56-kilometer-long monster. This left the BP Ultimate Polo of Gugu Zulu and Cindy Harding as the only remaining Class A7 contenders, but Zulu was in a fight for a good overall position instead of class honours. As mentioned before, the talented driver drove superbly to occupy 8th on the overall leaderboard after day 1.
Very confident at this moment in time. Things are going well. Got Cindy with me, and it's been absolutely fabulous.
As always, Class N4 turned into a 2-way battle between the 4-wheel drive Subaru Imprezas of Nelspruit brothers Joos and Dani Stassen and the similar machine of Charles Coetzee and Pierre Jordan. The Top Gear Motors Subaru of the Stassens suffered from brake problems on day 1, but still managed to lead the Midas Subaru of Coetzee, who was also struggling with problems of his own. Class A6 is for 1600 front-wheel drive rally cars. It's also the scene of a very impressive debut here for circuit racing star Leroy Poulter and experienced navigator Henry Deerlove. The Imperial Toyota Ranex driver was not only leading Class A6 by a comfortable margin, but also 10th on the overall leaderboard. His nearest rival was the Silverton Engineering Hencom Auto Body Toyota Auris of Chart Conradi and Tian Rabe, but they were already over a minute back. The Total Evolution Toyota Ranex of Craig Trott and Robbie Coetzee completed the top 3 in Class A6 after a challenging and demanding day 1. A number of really talented young drivers are currently trying to make their mark on the sports entry-level class, or Class A5. Eastern Cape youngster Morna Jansen van Rensburg and Derek Jacobs got the best of their opposition on day 1. The BP Ultimate City Golf opened up a nearly 3-minute gap. Former class champion Andre Kleinwerk and Kees Naidu were the early class leaders, but a puncture on Jessie Vale forced the BP Ultimate City Golf driver to lose time and the lead. Class A5 championship leaders Ashley Haig Smith and Hilton Orfrey got off to a bad start by picking up a puncture in stage 1. The Team React Toyota Yaris driver fought back in Jezebel and finished the day third in class. Class N3 is for near-standard production cars. The brother and sister team of Megan and Oliver Verlaak won a class of their own and completed the day more than 6 minutes ahead of nearest rivals Abdul Rahman Amle and Yusuf Khanif, with the Fiesta of Robson Maganese and Kenny Hill completing the Class N3 field.
A tough day 1 of the Rally of South Africa comes to close as the sun sets over the Mpumalanga skies. Volkswagen and Ford will have nightmares about Jessie Vale, while Toyota will dream of a first victory in 2010. Or will their dreams also be shattered? Demanding Rally of South Africa. Day 1 saw the demise of a number of top runners, including early rally leaders Hergen Fecken and Conrad Rotenbach, as well as other top drivers like Enzo Kuhn and Charles Wilkin. Day 2, however, will bring with it a whole new bunch of challenges for the remaining crews. Jan Habig is the sole surviving BP Ultimate Polo and starts the final day in 4th, a full 1 minute 48 seconds from the lead.
We did make a mistake at a junction which we misunderstood, didn't check it properly on the DVD, and we went very wide and damaged the left side of the car, lost a minute and a half. So
Hein Lateghan is now in the company of the factory drivers and starts day 2 in 3rd position.
Yeah, it's a good result. I mean, obviously there was so many guys that fell out in the last stage, so we were a bit lucky to move up the order, but it went well.
There was carnage towards the end of day 1, but not for Johnny Gemmell.
No, I said earlier, this is a tough stage, this one. 60 Ks of rocks and plenty of places to make mistakes.
Marc Ronier goes into the final day with a comfortable 30-second lead over his teammate Gemmell.
Yes, yeah, so it's a great achievement for me. You know, it's 2 years in a row now that we've had problems with that stage. And this year, just had a nice clean run. We had a problem with the window, so we moved it a bit of dust, but finally got it through to the end.
Through the drowsy hours are they creeping. Sam and Dean, their watch are keeping, safe and sound to keep the sleeping, and wake them from their morning's dreaming. Monday night at 7 o'clock just got a little safer for Supernatural. Mnet Action, brave enough.
The program for day 2 is easy. The crews will have to tackle 2 consecutive stages each time before receiving the opportunity to visit the service park. This means that throughout day 2, they will have to calculate their pace accordingly, as you can't afford a mistake on the first stage of a 2-stage loop. Stages 4 and 5 add another 26 kilometers to the rally distance.
With all the drama and excitement from day 1, everyone was expecting a normal day on day 2. But rallying is an unpredictable sport and the drama started early on. Rally leaders Marc Ronier and Robert Paisley were the first ones to tackle stage 1, but the Castrol Toyota Auris was already in trouble. It didn't take long before second place Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrer caught up with their Castrol Toyota teammates and got stuck in their dust. Gemmell lost precious seconds behind his teammate.
Now the guys behind us are a bit back, but now they'll be right with us, so I don't know what we're going to do this next one.
Ronier might have completed the stage, but the drama was far from over as the Castrol Toyota Auris was in no shape to attempt stage 5. And with no service until after stage 5, Ronier and Paisley were forced to carry out emergency repairs on the side of the road. This allowed Gemmell to overtake his teammate on the road, leaving him with a clean way ahead. Seconds later, Ronier set off in an attempt to complete the stage. But it wasn't to be, as the damage to the Castrol Toyota Auris was too severe. The former rally leader had no choice but to throw in the towel and retire.
We stage 1, probably 30 meters in. It was a left 6 over jump, and I misread the jump. The road was sort of off camber, so it pitched us into the wrong side of the road with an oversteer, and it pulled us into a bank. And yeah, we bent the right front, tried to get it going, and unfortunately we couldn't. It's just game over.
With a clean road ahead of them, new rally leaders Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrock were now back up to speed and set a very fast time on stage 5. Hein Lategan and Johan van der Merwe sniffed blood and upped their pace by winning stage 4 in the Pertec Toyota Auris. Another fast time on stage 5, and Lategan, who started the day a full minute and 26 seconds behind the lead, was now just 30 seconds back and chasing his best ever result. Cronje's demise opened the door for everyone else to close the gap to the lead, including Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford, who set the second and third fastest times on stages 4 and 5 respectively, to also close the gap to new second-place man Lategan. Behind Habig, the Total Evolution Toyotas of Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz and JP Damso and Caroline Swan were having an epic battle for 4th position. Rueda started the day 13 seconds ahead of Damso, but the latter closed the gap by 8 seconds on stage 4 and went another 9 seconds faster on stage 5 to move past his teammate and straight into 4th position. Jaco van Dijk and Les de Voortier were now up to 6th. It was by far the Namibian driver's best ever performance since driving an S2000 Polo on South African soil. Gugu Zulu and Cindy Harding were even more impressive behind the wheel of the Class A7 BP Ultimate Polo by occupying 7th at this stage of the rally. It was Harding's first rally since she survived the accident that claimed the life of Paul Pfeiffer more than a year ago.
I'm really glad and honored to have Cindy sitting next to me. I mean, she's a veteran at her game.
I need that. It's been a long gap and I need a good result today.
The leaderboard changes once again, and for the first time, it's the name of Johnny Gemmell that appears at the top.
Got to the next stage, we checked in before him, then we had a clear run through that one.
Lategan is in a career-best second position, but he has a determined multiple champion in the form of Jan Habig breathing down his neck.
For now, I think we just got to keep the pace and keep the pressure on and see if we can eke away at the lead.
Off to stages 6 and 7, where the battle for Rally of South Africa glory continues. Johnny Gemmell's lead over Hein Lategan is what should be a comfortable 30 seconds. But on stage 6, the Pertec Toyota Auris of Lategan and van der Merwe closed the gap by a full 11 seconds. On stage 7, Gemmell and Starrock managed to restore the order by setting the fastest time again. But on the overall standings, Lategan was still only 21 seconds behind. So Lategan had his sights set on Gemmell's first place, but behind them, Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford had plans to join this party, and knowing Habig, to even spoil it. The BP Ultimate Polo was 19 seconds behind Lategan, and on this event, 19 seconds did not mean much. JP Damso, Caroline Swan were now up to speed in the Total Evolution Toyota Run-X. Damso was also setting top 3 times and made 4th position his own.
Mark Cronje's name is missing, but it's still a Castrol Toyota at the top. Johnny Gemmell leads Hein Lategan by 21 seconds, with Jan Habig on the prowl in 3rd. It's good to see the name of Damso near the top of the leaderboard again, while Fernando Rueda and Jaco van Dijk were on course for their best ever S2000 remain in the Rally of South Africa. The stages that will decide who the winners of round 4 and possibly the new championship leaders are going to be.
As always, late on the final day of a rally, it was time to jockey for final and top 10 positions. It was no doubt a disappointing event for the Ford of Conrad Rothenbach and Peter Marsh and the Basil Reed Bizzup version of Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich. Both cars fell out on day 1, but fortunately for the many Ford fans, the cars were allowed back on the stages under the Super Rally rules, which allow them to drive the stages on day 2, but the times would not count for anything. For both teams, this proved to be the ideal test session as they set impressive stage times. But this sort of pace only served as consolation as they weren't classified as finishers, but it holds promise for the remaining battles of the year. Evan Hutchison and Alvin Coetzee started the final day all the way down in 20th position. The Motorride Polo driver steadily worked his way up the leaderboard while gaining valuable experience in the S2000 machine that is only driven for 4 events. And he was rewarded with a final position inside the top 10. Nicholas Ryan and Jeff Tyrer were in almost the same boat starting day 2 well down the field. But the Avis and Gabriel Polo driver kept his head down and returned good times to work his way back up the leaderboard. Ryan finally managed to enter the top 10 after stage 8. In the end, his persistence was rewarded with 9th position, a fine result in an event as tough as the Rally of South Africa. finish on an event with such a high rate of attrition is always an accomplishment. A top 10 result in a lower class car is even better, but that's exactly what Tjaart Conradie and Tiaan Rabe did in their Class A6 Silverton Engineering Hencom Auto Body Toyota Auris. The car is just a 1600 with only front-wheel drive, but a solid performance saw Conradie not only in the top 10, but 8th overall. For most of day 2, Guga Zulu and Cindy Harding were occupying 7th position in the Class A7 BP Ultimate Volkswagen Polo, but gearbox problems intervened, causing 20 minutes of lateness and leaving the car sounding very rough as they were forced to cruise through the final few stages. Zulu's misfortune is exactly what Leroy Poulter and Henry Deerlove needed to gain another position in their Class A6 Imperial Toyota Runex. For many, circuit racer Poulter is the find of the season since swapping tar for dirt, and finishing 7th in a 1600cc front-wheel drive car on an event this tough must go down as the drive of the event.
Unbelievable. I think we didn't think we would come up this far, but the car ran just faultlessly, and we enjoyed the rally.
Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin are the 2009 Class A6 champions, but have since swapped their car for the Total Evolution Class X2000 Runex. It's been a rocky ride so far for the Tanin businessman, crashing heavily in Natal and again rolling on the Sasol Rally. Musa started day 2 in a lonely 14th position, but worked his way up with some fast times to reach the Ermelo finish in 6th position, exactly the confidence boost he needed. At the start of the season, Jaco van Dijk was a bit of an unknown factor, as he's never competed on South African soil before. But since teaming up with experienced navigator Des de Fortier, the Namibian driver has grown in leaps and bounds and is driving the Volkswagen Polo with more commitment on every outing. Van Dijk also managed to put his day 1 troubles behind him and fought his way up to an excellent 5th place overall. By far, his best ever result on a round of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. Consistency is what Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz were all about on day 2. The Spaniard, now well into his 2nd year behind the wheel of the Total Evolution Toyota Runex, was chasing his best ever result in S2000, but it wasn't easy. Rueda had no clutch for the entire 2nd day, starting the car at each stage on the starter motor. The starter was replaced as a precaution during the day, but Rueda was well aware that a stall or an overshoot would result in his retirement. He didn't make any mistakes and reached the Ermelo finish in 4th position overall. At the top of the leaderboard, we still had a fierce battle for the final podium positions. Hein Lategan and Johan van der Merwe had a sniff of a possible win and kept going hard. For the first time this year, and since moving to the Premier S2000 class, the Pertec Toyota Auris mixed it up with the factory cars and even set a few faster stage times along the way. But it ended in tears for Lategan when they rolled out of the event early on in stage 8. The impact even left Lategan unconscious for a few moments, but after Van der Merwe dragged him out of the car, all was well, and they will both be back to fight another day.
I was knocked out for a little while. I remember I had to catch the car and I thought something is going wrong, and the next moment I was sitting on the side of the road on a rock.
Lategan's retirement moved JP Damso and Callan Swan up into 3rd position. It was the Total Evolution team's best outing since this event last year, but Damso had a late scare when the differential in his Runex packed up with just a few kilometers to go. He nursed the car around the final super special stage on the outskirts of Ermelo and just managed to stay ahead of the pack to claim his first podium place finish in 12 months. This result also propelled them to the head of the inaugural Privateers Rally Championship. With Lategan's crash, the battle for overall victory became a fight between the Castrol Toyota Auris of Johnny Gemmel and Drew Starrock and the BP Ultimate Polo of Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford. Gemmel had the lead since early on day 2, but Habig doesn't need an invitation to fight for a win. The 6 times national champion was now piling on the pressure. The deficit to Gemmel's Toyota was still around 40 seconds, but on stage 8, Habig put in a blistering performance. In an effort to fend off the attack, Gemmel also pushed hard, but it nearly ended in tears at exactly the same spot where Lategan rolled. The Castrol Toyota Auris hit the same series of bumps and nearly rolled over. Fortunately, they didn't, but around 16 seconds were lost and Habig was now closing in.
Yeah, on that first of these last 2, we hit a jump and went up in the air and broke the seat. So the second one, this last one, I did with the seat flopping around and it wasn't too comfortable, but it's close. It's 14 seconds.
Another fastest time on stage 9 for Habig, and the gap was down to just 14 seconds. But Gemmell responded on the following stage and increased it again to 17 seconds. All eyes were on the battle between Gemmell and Habig for overall rally glory, but behind them, the remaining field was battling just as hard in their quest to finish. In spite of their problems, Gugu Zulu and Cindy Harding managed to wrap up Class A7 in the BP Ultimate Polo. In Class N4, a second consecutive victory for the Top Gear Motors Subaru of US and Danny Stassen was enough to take the overall Class N4 championship lead. Like most other crews, the Stassens had an eventful day, but still managed to beat their arch rivals Chart Coetzee and Pierre Jordan. The Midas Subaru of Coetzee ended the tough rally of South Africa just 43 seconds behind. Leroy Poulter's sterling drive to 7th overall was good enough for the Class A6 win ahead of Chart Conradi. Class veteran Craig Trott and Robbie Coetzee used every bit of experience to reach the tough Rally of South Africa finish. They claimed third in Class A6 in the Total Evolution Toyota Runnings. Overnight Class A5 leaders Morna Jansen van Rensburg and Derek Jacobs had a day to forget behind the wheel of the BP Ultimate City Golf. They lost their lead after stage 7 when the Golf picked up a fuel starvation problem that started their tumble down the leaderboard. This allowed Class Championship points leaders Ashley Haig-Smith and Hilton Orfrey to move up into second position in their Team React Toyota Yaris, but the class belonged to former class champion Andre Kleenberg and Kes Naidu. The BP Ultimate City Golf was also sounding rough towards the end, but they did enough to get their season and championship campaign back on track. Megan and Oliver Verlaak were dominant in Class N3 and held onto the overnight lead to claim a comfortable class win. The similar Toyota Runnings of Abdul Rahman Amla and Yusuf Ghanif finished second ahead of the Link Africa Ford Fiesta of Robson Maganese and Kenny Hill.
With only 2 runs over the short super special stage on the outskirts of Ermelo to go, Johnny Gemmell had a 17-second advantage over his rival Habig. But will it be enough?
Yeah, it should be, but it's not over till the end.
Combined, these 2 stages only cover 8 kilometers, and 8 kilometers is not normally enough time to close a 17-second gap.
Not really, but what we can do is just sit as close as possible and, let's see what they do.
The fight for victory between Habig and Gemmell was not only on paper, but now also on the same stage, as these 2 lined up to race each other around the Super Special. After 2 different loops of the same stage, and if it's a closed dice, both should reach the flying finish at the same time. But in a last mad dash to the line, it's the BP Ultimate Polo that comfortably beats the casual Toyota. To make matters even worse for Gemmell, he got nailed by Habig's dust and had to stop, losing precious seconds in the process. Habig closes the gap by a massive 10 seconds in just 4 kilometers. The gap was down to just 7 seconds with 1 short stage to go. Could there be drama this close to the end? Habig will win this dice again as he's about to cross the flying finish in a time of 3 minutes and 3.5 seconds. But will it be enough to snatch the victory from Gemmell? The clock is ticking as Gemmell approaches the finish. It's going to be close. Yes, Johnny Gemmell wins the rally by just 0.7 of a second.
He's going fast there, man.
An emphatic victory for Johnny Gemmell and Drew Sturrock, who managed to fend off the late charge by Jan Habig and Ralph Pittred by just 0.7 of a second. It's the closest winning margin in the history of South African rallying, and that after 13 stages and 187 kilometers of flat-out gravel racing. JP Damso fills the final podium position ahead of Royder and a career best finish for Van Dijk. 2 Class A6 cars also make it into the top 10. Spraying the champagne from any step on the podium is a fantastic result. And with his 3rd place, JP Damso takes the lead in the Privateers Championship.
This year it's been going well. We've got 4 finishes and we're happy with that.
The difference between the second and the top step was less than a second after one of the best last-minute charges ever seen.
Well, we tried hard. I think Johnny drove extremely well. We all got away with incidents or 2, and it was a good result for us. I'm happy.
But what a win for Johnny Gemmell and Toyota, who survived the tough roads and Habig's challenge to emerge victorious on the Rally of South Africa.
No, this one was tight. It's only points of seconds decided this one. After yesterday, we started off with a lead over Yanni of about 1.5 minutes this morning. So, we're going to take it easy. So he really hauled us in there by the end. And this last one was pretty exciting.
The Sasol South African Rally Championship takes a 7-week break over the FIFA Soccer World Cup and will return on the 23rd and 24th of July with a Volkswagen Rally in the Eastern Cape. The Volkswagen Rally is a tough test for both man and machine and includes a number of stages in the daunting Longmoor Forest just outside PE. It's not only the Volkswagen